Alright, so you're a portrait photographer. Then Photoshop, frequency separation, and dodge and burn probably all ring a bell to you. You've probably also heard the buzz about Skylum's Luminar 4 and its AI skin and AI portrait enhance tools. Whoa, wait, AI to edit my portraits? That was exactly what I thought when I saw all of the ads for this awesome new technology interrupting the YouTube videos I was binge watching. So of course, I grabbed my free trial so I could try it out, and I even made a video as soon as I got it installed. I'm sure you saw them too. You may even have thought, yes, finally, a virtual robot that will edit all of my portraits. They will be amazing. I'm gonna have so much free time now. By the way, this video is not sponsored by anyone. Okay, so the euphoria of new, exciting technology is worn off. So today I'm gonna revisit Luminar 4 on a portrait. And I'm gonna compare that same portrait that I edited in Photoshop with frequency separation and dodge and burn. So let's jump in and see what we get. Okay, here we have the portrait that I've chosen to do our comparison with between Luminar and Photoshop. As you can see on the left, this is the unedited version. There's been no skin retouching. What I did is go ahead and duplicate the document, and I performed frequency separation and dodge and burn on the right-hand side, so we save some time for later on when I compare the Luminar retouch. Let's go ahead and go back to the original here. I'm gonna add the Luminar logo on here so we don't get them confused. Now let's go ahead and open that up in Luminar. Okay, now that we have our unedited image open here in Luminar 4, let's go ahead and jump in and see what we can do with the new AI skin and AI portrait enhance tools. So all we need to do is go over to the portrait panel, which is this little smiley face icon, and we have AI skin enhancer and AI portrait enhancer. So let's go ahead and see what the skin enhancer will do. When I click on it, it expands out, and we only have a few options here to choose from. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to address all of the little blemishes in her skin texture here. So let's go ahead and zoom into 100% so you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. As you can see, there's lots of little blemishes here. They're not bad, but I do want to remove them and even out the skin texture. So let's go over here and click on the AI skin defects removal. And surprisingly, that hasn't done much. It looks like it's removed just a couple of blemishes right here, and it just basically smudged them. Let's go ahead and enable the before and after slider so I can show you where the changes are happening. So you can see right there and right there, it's removed those two blemishes, but it's left all of the other blemishes on the face. Well, let's turn off the before and after slider, and let's zoom out and see what else we can do. Okay, well, I guess let's see what the amount and the shine removal sliders do here in the AI skin enhancer tool. So let's go ahead and just crank it to 100 and see what happens. Okay, it looks like that has smoothed the skin out some more. It hasn't corrected the texture, but it has evened out some of the skin tones, and it appears like it has softened the texture a bit. Let's go ahead and zoom into 100% and take a closer look. So it does look like Luminar has blended out the skin color or tones here and softened the texture a little bit, but still hasn't corrected any more of the texture. Let's go ahead and enable that before and after slider again so we can see the difference. Alright, well, let's see what the shine removal does. So I'm not seeing much difference in what I would assume would be shine removal. I'm looking at the highlight here on the forehead, the bridge of the nose, and here on the upper part of the cheek under the eye. And they all seem to still be just as shiny or bright as before. Well, let's go ahead and jump over into the AI portrait enhancer and see what we can do in there. Okay, the first thing I notice here is we have a face light, which I'm assuming, yes, it does adjust the lighting on the face. I'm not going to use it here because this image is already very well lit. She does have some redness in the eyes, and I see a red eye removal tool, so let's go ahead and try that. I'm not seeing much happen for the veins, so I'm assuming that that's more of maybe a red eye, like a flash red eye, or redness in the eye. Well, I see an eye whitening slider, which I'm assuming adjusts the brightness of the white of the eyes, and yes, it does. So let's go ahead and give a little bump to the white of the eyes, but let's keep it natural. So let's say maybe between 10 and 15 here. Next we have the eye enhancer, which does enhance the iris of the eye. So let's give a little boost to those irises. After that, I see the dark circles removal, which this I would assume is going to remove these dark areas under the eye. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with that. I am not seeing much of anything happen here other than it is removing some darkness under this eye, but it's not addressing this issue here. Next I see Slim Face 2.0. I'm assuming that this is much like the slim face that you can do in Photoshop Liquify, and yep, that is exactly what it does. But I'm not one of those that likes to change or reconfigure the way someone's face is shaped. We also have enlarge eyes. That's also a feature that I've seen in the Photoshop Liquify tool. And yes, as you can see, her eyes have grown. Again, I do not like to change the features of people's face. Then we've got our improve eyebrows. If we go ahead and slide that across, it looks like all it's actually doing is just darkening the eyebrows. And then it looks like the next four features all pertain to the mouth. So we've got lip saturation, redness, darkness, and teeth whitening, I guess if they're smiling. So let's go ahead and give a little saturation here. Oh wow, that is a lot of saturation. So I'm gonna back off and let's just do a small bump to each here. So let's go 10. Let's see what the redness does. Really add some redness to the lips. Let's keep that really low as well. So let's make that 10. Darkening. Just darkens the lips. Again, let's keep that low and make it 10 as well. And then she's obviously not showing any teeth here, so there's no need to whiten them. And that is pretty much all of the tools available in the AI Portrait Enhancer. So let's go ahead and toggle that on and off. And the changes are subtle, but they're there. We're obviously brightening the eyes and enhancing them, the eyebrows and the lips. So since this video is just a comparison of Luminar's AI Skin and AI Portrait Enhanced tools versus Photoshop's frequency separation and dodge and burn, I'm going to go ahead and stop there. And let's go ahead and apply this and jump back into Photoshop and see what we have. Okay, so that was easy. But let's wait a second, let's check out the results, and then I'm going to jump back into Luminar and see if I can correct some of those additional issues I already pointed out. Okay, let's see how the Luminar AI Skin and AI Portrait Enhanced tools stack up to frequency separation and dodge and burn in Photoshop. As we already noticed, the AI did not do a great job at picking out the smaller blemishes on her face. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here so we can look around. As you can see, there's still a lot of small blemishes here on the forehead and around the nose and the lip and chin. I can zoom in on the frequency separation as well, and we can take a look at that. As you can see, the skin texture here is all nice and uniform, no small blemishes. So let's go ahead and zoom out and see what else we can see here. Luminar did do a pretty good job of blending out the underlying skin tones and kind of softening the overall skin look through the colors and tones. But it has given this odd plastic look that I'm not seeing over here in the frequency separation. Another thing to notice here is the dark circle removal tool in the AI Portrait Enhance panel did not do a great job of removing these dark areas under the eye. Whereas over here, I was able to blend those out with the mixer brush on the low layer in frequency separation and balance it out with some dodge and burn. Also in Photoshop, I was able to clean up the eyebrows a little bit better and also address the fine lines and crow's feet around her eyes with frequency separation and micro dodge and burn. So let's go ahead and give Luminar a fair handshake, and let's take our portrait back over into Luminar and see if I can address any of these other issues with other tools available in Luminar. Okay, since Luminar's AI Skin Enhancer did not do a great job of picking up the smaller blemishes, let's go ahead and find something else to address those with. So I zoomed in here, and let's have a closer look. What I have found here in Luminar that we can address these smaller blemishes with is actually the clone stamp tool. So if we go up here to the top right corner And just under layers, you have this icon that says canvas. If you click on that, we have a clone and stamp. So when clone and stamp opens, Luminar will go ahead and prompt us to make our first selection. This is to select the source that we want to sample from to replace in other areas. So let's start up here on these smaller blemishes. All we need to do is select a source nearby and click. Once the selection's made, our cursor changes, as you can see. And obviously this is way too big for what we want to work on. So let's go ahead and go up to our tool settings and change our size. And I want my brush size to be about the same size as the blemishes I'm working on. Now let's go back over and address those blemishes. All we need to do now is just brush over the blemishes we want to remove. And as you can see, it's cloning from this area over the area we're wanting to replace. So when we move over to work on a different blemish, we want to make sure that we sample from a new area. So we'll want to make sure and press and hold the Alt on Windows or the Option on Mac and make a new selection. And then work on our other blemishes. So each time we move, we want to make a new selection from nearby texture and color. And we're going to slowly work through and clean up all of these small blemishes. Okay, I just saw my first issue. So unlike frequency separation, where you can sample just texture by working on the high layer, here we're working on a flat layer, so it's sampling texture and color. So even though I might be sampling from a correct texture, if I go into a lighter or darker color, you can see that it's making an issue here. So we need to be a lot more cautious in where we're sampling when we make our selections. Okay, so now that I've kind of covered the clone and stamp tool, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the little blemishes across her entire face, and I'm going to fast forward this so you don't have to sit here and watch me do this slowly. Okay, so I've gotten all of the small blemishes fixed, but I ran into a couple issues that I'm not happy with. One, obviously, is the discoloration in some areas. And what I found is that there actually isn't a way to back out after you make a mistake like this. I tried doing the Control and Z, that doesn't back out. I also tried going up to the edit and doing undo, which is grayed out as long as you have the clone stamp open like this. So the only way to really correct an issue is to resample and try to go over the mistake that you've already made. So let's try and do that. Okay, not perfect, but let's go ahead and hit done. Then let's zoom back out and see what we have. Not too bad. There's still some spots going on, but let's go ahead and see if we can run the AI skin enhance again and see if we can fix those. So let's go back down here to the portrait panel. Let's go ahead and try the AI defect removal again and see if that helps with anything. I didn't see any changes there. Let's go ahead and try the amount and see if it'll blend out some of those discolorations for us. That it did. So let's go ahead and grab our before and after slider and have a look. Much better than the previous job. Let's go into 100%. And you can see how the texture has been cleaned up much better this time. Now I haven't found a tool to address the dark circles under the eyes, but I was able to go ahead and do a better job cleaning up the skin texture and also being able to clean up around the eyebrows and some other areas. So I feel like we've given a better handshake to the Luminar software now. Let's go ahead and apply and go back over and look at it compared to the Photoshop copy. Alright, we are back over here and we now have our Luminar and our frequency separation and dodge and burn. First thing I notice is the Luminar, even though I've managed to correct a lot more of the smaller blemishes, still has this plasticky, shiny skin tone to it. And some of the softening has really softened some of the edges that I'm not a fan of. Overall, I'm not saying that Luminar did a horrible job. Actually, it did a fairly decent job. So, if you're looking for a tool that's easy to use and does a decent job, Luminar isn't a bad choice. I hope this video was helpful if you're considering using Luminar for your portrait editing. Make sure and let me know down in the comments. Also, make sure to check out my other videos and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and y'all have a great day.